ever consider the progress for the kingdom that we should have made over the last 2,000 years if we only would have been aligned one church? I wonder if Jesus would have come back already. Let's go there next with a call to unite, brought by Phil Shively, pastor of Black Hills Bible Church. He's the founder of Black Hills Ministries. He is a member of the South Dakota Watchmen Council. He and his family were missionaries in Papua New Guinea for 10 years. He's the newly elected chair of the Fall River County GOP. He's a reserve police officer in Hot Springs. This is Phil Shively, a very busy man. Officer, arrest that man.
So, pastors, I have a question for you. I wish somebody would have asked me this a long time ago. Do you ever feel alone? We're in a room full of pastors. Yet, I would dare to guess that several pastors in here at times feel alone. And unfortunately, it is by our choice that we do that. I'll get into that. We feel alone at times, yet, provided we have placed our faith in Jesus Christ, we are actually one in Christ. And if you don't remember anything else I say, here's the proverbial pastor presentation of that one thing, right? If you don't remember anything else, remember this. We are one in Christ, provided we have placed our faith in Jesus Christ for our salvation. We are one in Christ. But I have a question. 3 pictures up here. My question is, what do the following 3 things have in common? A little village in Papua New Guinea on a little tiny island, 1/4 mile wide, 3/4 of a mile long. That's where we called home for 10 years. The city of Jerusalem, around 50 AD, give or take 20 years. And your local church. What do all 3 of those things have in common? They are all in danger of being occupied with their own traditions rather than being one in Christ. Let me say it again. They're all in danger of being occupied with their own traditions rather than being one in Christ. So the little island, we moved there. We spent 3 years studying language and culture, and there are 17 distinct language and cultures in the area that we were in. In Papua New Guinea, there's over 800 distinct languages and cultures, and each of those have their own dialects. There were 17 in our area. We worked in one, and there's some other missionaries that worked 30 miles away in another one. We had to get in a boat to go see them. And we made that trip several times in the 3 years that we were studying language and culture, because that's where we got our fellowship. Do you know what it took to go see them? It took life jackets, it took paddles, oars, it took fuel, it took reserve fuel for 30 miles across the ocean. It took a GPS, it took mobile radios on our life jacket, a radio in the boat in case whatever happened. And we would traverse storms to go have that fellowship. After those 3 years, and the tribal people saw us doing that, after they were believers, we had believers in each tribe, each location. We had presented the gospel at the same time, roughly. We took our group of believers to that neighboring tribe. For those 2 tribal groups to come together and fellowship around what they had in Jesus Christ. They were going cross-cultural. Are you with me? They were going cross-cultural. When we took that group of believers up there to visit the other tribe, we hit the biggest storm that we ever hit in our history of 10 years in Papua New Guinea. And my wife, along with some others who were bailing water out of the boat as fast as they could, my wife came up to the middle of the boat where I was steering, and she said, "Are we going to be okay?" And I said, "Absolutely. Everything's going to be fine." And she went back to bailing, and in my mind I thought, heaven's gonna be great. But as the captain of the ship, you can't let them know that. You know that. It took work to fellowship with those missionaries. It took work to get those believers together, to have that fellowship. And now today, there's 5 tribes that get together once a year. They traverse the ocean, they traverse the mainland to all come together. And they pick different tribes each time to go to, but they get together today. All 5 of those tribes go cross-cultural, cross-language barriers to fellowship. And the rest of those tribes in that area, they see it. And they say, we've never seen this. We've never heard people talk like this. We want this. So remember that when we get to John. Okay, second one. Jerusalem, 50 AD. How are they in danger of being occupied with their own traditions rather than being one in Christ? Did they have traditions? They had the prophets, the angels, Moses, they had the law, they had the human high priests, and everything that went along with that. They were rich in tradition. They are rich in tradition. What did Tevi say? What was the song he sang? There you go. Okay, I won't sing for you. But what does Hebrews chapter 13, verse 9 say? Starting in verse 8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Do not be carried about with various and strange doctrines, teachings. For it is good that the heart be established by traditions. Oh, whoops. That's not what it says. It's good that the heart be established, strengthened by what? Grace. Not with foods or traditions, right? Which have not profited those who have been occupied by them. You get occupied with these things that get our focus off of Christ. You start drawing lines in the sand, and you say, you stay over there, I'll stay over here, we'll be happy. Don't cross my line, I won't cross yours. You see him at the store. Is anybody with me? Are you tracking? So how do we connect with each other? We connect with Jesus first. Verse 11 says, the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned outside the camp, which was disrespectful, by the way. Verse 12, therefore Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered outside the gate. He suffered outside the gate. Therefore, let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. We all establish our own camps. We establish our camp and say, he's not of my camp. Are you with me? So how do we connect? We go get Jesus and bring him inside our camp. Is that what I said? We go to Jesus outside the camp. You with me? Okay. We go to Jesus outside the camp. We cannot bring Jesus into our camps. We have to go outside the camp to Jesus, and we will find ourselves aligned. So that brings us to our church, our local churches. How are we in danger of being occupied with our traditions rather than being one in Christ? I've seen it firsthand, the destruction that it causes here in America, in Papua New Guinea, in South Sudan, and Uganda. Between Christians, between pastors, between believers and unbelievers. What do unbelievers think when they see how we treat each other? What do they think? Guess what John 17 says? This is Jesus' prayer request for us. Are you ready? What is his prayer request for us? He just prayed for the disciples. Now he's praying for those who will believe after them. Verse 20, John 17:20. I do not pray for these alone, the disciples, but also for those who will, future tense, that's us, believe in me through their word, that they may be one as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us. Is being one the end? It's the means to the end. What's the end? What is the end? If we have unity, what's the goal? It says it right here. That they may be one as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you sent me. Are we the answer to Jesus' prayer? We need to go to Jesus outside the camp. I realize there are levels of fellowship that we're going to have. We have some differences. I understand that. But to be a light in our culture, we need to be one. Now, we need to take some action on that. And to introduce you to the person that's going to come and challenge you to that action is the man that introduced me to Watchmen on the Wall. At the Tower of Babel, God saw the unity of humankind and said nothing they imagine to do will be impossible for them. So accordingly, our unity as his church allows for unlimited action in this world. The rest of the evening is going to focus on some of our action steps that we can take together as watchmen. And it begins with our being courageous. So, coming next with the call to courage is Scott Craig, pastor of Bighorn Canyon Community Church in Rapid City, former member of the State House of Representatives, chairman of the South Dakota Watchmen Council, and the chairman of the board of the Family Heritage Alliance, and my very dear friend. Let's welcome back Scott Craig.